I apologize if my Jeep's a little noisy. My wife says you can barely hear over the tires. I kind of like that.
We make the streets louder.
One of the fantastic things about living here in Louisville, Kentucky, or outside of Louisville, here in Kentucky anyway, is that we have some pretty amazing gun shows. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I understand there to be a lot of military arms. There's going to be a military arms show as well as the gun show. So looking forward to this. This is going to be a fantastic day. So it's been a couple of days since I went to the gun show, the national. It was actually a gun show, the National Gun Day. So they had the gun show on National Gun Day, which was kind of cool. But it's been a couple of days since I've been there because I've kind of gone over a couple of things that happened. One, I wasn't allowed to take any photographs or videos while I was there. They announced that quite frequently and quite loudly, to the fact that basically anybody who did this was going to be ejected from the show. So I sneakily took a couple of pictures, but really that was about it. Wow, you know me. That was like heaven for me. There's just guns everywhere, every type, model, description, nomenclature, you name it, they had it. Gatling guns to tiny little, SIGs, multiple colors. They had multiple vendors there building ARs, and at one time I walked by one booth and I think I could even actually buy a Deadpool modification to my AR, where they fully Deadpooled the whole entire weapon. It was actually pretty cool. I'm not sure I want to pay somebody $700 to paint my weapon, although it was neat. I think I could do that myself. Kind of as I was walking around, one of the things I noticed that something that I'm kind of was missing from my collection that I kind of wanted to add was a shotgun. Now, not just any shotgun. I could go to Walmart, or I could go to the local gun dealer and get a good shotgun. But you know me, I like tactical. I like the tactical look. I like the tactical feel of of weapons of that kind of design. So as I was about to leave, I walked by a gentleman who was carrying a weapon, and kind of really struck my eye. I thought, wow, that is a very beautiful shotgun. Come to find out, he's one of these guys that simply comes to gun shows, brings a gun in, checks it, tags it, walk around and sell it. Who knew? I didn't know you could actually do that. I always thought that these guys were people who had bought a gun and were still kind of walking around, but it seems that actually he was selling it. So I looked at the gun over pretty good. I checked it a couple of times, and I made him an offer, or actually I had asked him what he wanted for it, and he said 150. Wow, it was actually a pretty good deal. I've known about these tactical type of shotguns, and I've seen them before, but I've never owned one. So I was kind of excited. $150 is a pretty good deal for a tactical shotgun. So let me show it to you, and then we'll kind of go over it. This is an ESCORT tactical range pump action 12 gauge shotgun. It's a 28-inch barrel, 40 inches in overall length. It's about 7.2 pounds, so it's not the lightest thing in the world. Has a fixed choke, 18 inches, rubber stock, and as you notice, you can put a couple emergency shells in here. and I think it'll chamber like 4 or 5. But one of the first things I noticed when I grabbed it from him right off the bat, hear that? Ain't supposed to do that. I think he didn't realize the gun wasn't fully assembled. I think he bought it because it's never been shot. I have been through this barrel with a scope all the way through it. There's no carbon, there's no nothing. This weapon has never been shot. But I guarantee you at some point he cocked this gun and the barrel slopped like that, and he went, oh crap, I have bought something. Maybe he got it from somewhere that he couldn't return it. I don't know. But I got it for $150, and I know exactly what's wrong with it. Now, to the point that I know that this weapon hasn't ever been shot, is that the stopper is still in there. So there's never, you've never put the extra rounds in here, because this is still in the gun. To the point that, here's what I noticed. You'll see this little heat shield, right? This little heat shield actually locks in back here. There's a pin in here. I'm going to slide this forward. So you can see that little pin right there. Well, that little pin has a notch, and from the look of the marring on this, it was setting right there, so it wasn't actually locked in. Now, it was tightened down here in the front, so to hold the barrel and everything in, but I guarantee you what happened was it was not locked in here properly. They went and cocked it, and when they did, it fell down to its proper location, and now suddenly it's slopping. And they just, oh crap, what do I do? Well, so if you pin it in properly with the heat shield, there we go. Well, there we go. If you pin it in properly, it will lock all the way back, and then this same little cap here, sling attachment, you'll notice it has these little ridges on it, which is actually designed to dig in and tighten down, because it is, in a sense, this is what holds the entire barrel on there. So you can imagine if you don't have this tightened right, and as you can see, I mean, this bad boy has never been shot. As you can see, if it's not notched in here properly, if it's not set right, and then you've got yourself tightened down appropriately to take all the slop and everything out of it and make sure that it's affixed right, you're going to run into a couple problems. One, if he did put a round in it and this was set up like it wasn't notched in properly and he squeezed the trigger, it probably didn't hit. Probably the firing pin did not hit the shell. He probably did this a couple times. I'm going over a couple scenarios in my head. Why did he sell this to me so cheap? I'm thinking this is the reason why. It wasn't set in there properly. He put a couple shells in it, he pulled the trigger, nothing. Put another shell in it, pulled the trigger, nothing. He's kind of lucky it didn't go off. If you can imagine, if the barrel is set this way, 1/4 of an inch, that's, I mean, you're in a very dangerous situation right now, whether your shell is seated up improperly or not. This thing could have come completely apart and killed him. So I'm kind of glad for him that he didn't get it to go off, or that they haven't actually shot this shotgun, being that I noticed that slop. But it's something that, like I said, it's easily fixable, or it's actually, if you put the weapon together properly, you won't even have that problem. So yeah, crazy good deal, $150 for this ESCORT
Tactical 12-gauge shotgun. They generally go, I think the NZ price that I'm seeing right now is around $550 to $690, depending on where you go. Now let's give it a shot. Oh, God, that's sweet. Nothing. So tight, yeah, super tight. Now this is not all I'm going to go through this weapon. And now that I have seen this, I wonder what else maybe has not been put together properly. So I'm going to go pull up their specs. I'm going to go through this weapon from front to back, ensuring that everything that should be aligned properly is. I've talked in my previous videos about tampering or manipulating or changing areas of the weapon that I completely think is out of your arena unless you're an absolute expert. One of them being the chambering mechanisms. So how your weapons are put into or how your ammunition is actually slotted into the weapon. So if you have some horrible magazine, you go to in an AR sense, you go to pull your charging handle and you let it go, and it comes back and it actually hits the center pin of the ammunition and makes it go off while it's mid-chambering and kills you. Again, stay away from that kind of stuff. Barreling aspects. Here's a great example. I don't know why they bought a gun that wasn't put together properly, or whether the manufacturer put it together improperly. But again, here's that minute amount of slop in the gun that could actually kill you. So if the barrel is off, I need to check this thing all the way through. But $150. And oh, it's definitely, I love this little pistol grip. Yeah. I'm gonna jack my shoulder up for sure on this bad boy, but as you can see, it is an ESCORT. I've never even seen one with this on it before. Well, apparently that's just kind of like the decal when they first stick it up there, you know, for everybody to buy it. So that's how new this gun is. Yeah, this is going to be fun. But I wanted to show you guys what I got from the gun show. While there was a million more weapons I would have loved to have had, and I think I might wait to go to the next gun show before I do buy some things, because there was a lot of really good deals there, and there was also a lot of not really good deals there. Shop around, even when you're at something like that. It doesn't mean it's the last time you're ever going to come across a good deal like that, okay? That's where they sucker you in like it's a good deal. I'll give you an example. My Glock 19X, there was a vendor there that sold it for about $150 cheaper than I got it at a major retailer, you know, which is actually a pretty good deal. And then there were 3 or 4 vendors who had the same gun who actually wanted more. And when I took a look at their setup, they took out one of the clips. They took out a couple of the handguard adapters that goes to it. So in a sense, they were trying to sell you an entire setup case for the Glock 19, which I'll show it to you. They were trying to sell me this entire case setup and design with all out everything that comes with it for more than I paid at a retail gun dealer. So you gotta watch what you're getting there. And then again, you know, understanding what you're buying, looking at the weapon, taking it apart, doing things like I did with that shotgun. A lot of people may have actually grabbed that, felt that slop, and said, no, they're completely out of it. I already knew when I looked down and I seen the heat guard shield and the two little pins setting out, knowing that it wasn't locked already in there. I knew what that slop was for. It wasn't actually all the way chambered in back where it could be. In order for you to see that, Jax, you got to pull the trigger guard out, and in the very back there is the barrel comes in, and it has like this notch, and that notch has this little tang that hangs off of the barrel, and it just kind of slides in, and it locks it into place so that it doesn't twist this way and this way. But it also needs to seat. When I pulled the trigger guard out, I mean, it's like, you know, it's a good 1/4 of an inch from being seated all the way back, so it was not seated properly. I think it was a pretty good day, and again, I like going to these things because I get to interact with people, and they get a better understanding of you know, my passion for the weapons, as well as I get to grow my collection a little bit more. And I guess if I have one thing to say to anybody who doesn't believe in guns by any means, this video isn't to upset you. This video does not make me a horrible person. I'm not out here trying to convince you that you need to buy a weapon. What I'm saying to you is that if you're going to buy a weapon, be educated. Don't go out and just throw a couple $100 in some guy's pocket and walk away with a gun that if you go to shoot it, it kills you. That's my point. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.